celestial, tú eres el Rey de reyes, Señor de señores. Para ti no hay nada imposible. Tu palabra dice que por tus llagas fuimos sanados. Padre, en el nombre de Jesús te lo pedimos. Tu palabra dice que todo lo que pidamos en el nombre de tu Hijo amado Jesucristo será dado. En el nombre de Jesús te lo pedimos. Santo, santo, santo tú eres, Jehová. Glorificado sea tu santo nombre. Hay poder en Jesús. Aleluya. Mi alma te alaba. Y ahora mismo, pues, somos 7. Denle a share, denle a compartir para que se siga regando la voz de nuestro Señor Jesucristo, que Cristo sana, que Cristo salva, que Cristo liberta, que Cristo es la respuesta a todo problema, a toda necesidad que pueda tener en tu vida. Ahora mismo les presento a mi hija Divana, mi hija Raeli, mi hijo Eliezer, a Débora y a Ramón Jr. con ustedes. Dios les bendiga, Dios les guarde y aquí ellos van a estar con ustedes.
Dios le bendiga, que le guarde. Me llamo Divana Carrillo, pertenezco a la iglesia Grace Church de Middleburg Heights, Ohio. Mis pastores son Jonathan y Mary Schaefer. My name is Divana Carrillo. I belong to Grace Church in Middleburg, Ohio, Middleburg Heights, Ohio, with my pastors Jonathan and Mary Schaefer.
I'm Zayas. I go to the church and my pastores are Jordan Kennedy and Ida Rodriguez.
Dios te bendiga, yo soy hermano Eliezer.
Dios te bendiga, yo soy Débora.
Dios te bendiga, yo soy Ramon Jr.
So today we are talking and we are reading. Reading in First of Kings. First of Kings, First of Kings 10, verse 1. Vamos a estar leyendo en Primera Reyes, capítulo 10, versículo 1. Raeli va a leer primero.
No.
Yes, you may read.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Now when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to test him with hard questions.
En nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Amén. Oyendo la reina de Saba la fama que Salomón había alcanzado por el nombre de Jehová, vino a probarle con preguntas difíciles. So sometimes we have difficult questions. Sometimes we get asked difficult questions. The way we respond and search for those answers is very, very important. Just like the Queen Sheba knew that the answers she was looking for, she could find them in Solomon. It's the same way that we know that we can find the answers that we want in Jesus. Now, algunas veces nos hacemos preguntas difíciles o nos preguntan preguntas difíciles. Y cómo contestamos a esa pregunta es bien, bien importante, porque reflexiona a Dios, reflexiona a Jesús, cómo tú hablas, cómo le contestas, cómo reacciona. Y como la reina también ella sabía que ella podía encontrar las contestaciones en Salomón. Nosotros sabemos que podemos encontrar la respuesta de nuestras preguntas, cual difícil sean, en Jesús. Voy a estar preguntando algunas de estas preguntas. So I'm going to start asking some of these questions. First one is about COVID. Okay. a empezar con lo que todo el mundo está pasando ahora mismo, que es COVID. Number one, what were your first thoughts when COVID started? ¿Cuáles fueron tus primeros pensamientos? ¿Qué fue lo primero que pensaste cuando estabas escuchando que te había empezado de COVID?
My first thoughts were that I was gonna stay at home.
You were going to stay at home?
Yeah.
You were like, I'm locked up?
Yeah, I was not happy that COVID was spreading, but I was happy that I got to stay home because it's like usually what I do.
Mm.
So them saying, "Oh, you're in quarantine now," it wasn't such a like, "Oh my gosh, I have to be in quarantine now." It was more of a like a yay.
You're a homebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were my first thoughts when I heard about COVID.
Liza?
What was the question?
When COVID first started, what was your thoughts on it? Like, what did you think?
We're all gonna die.
You thought we were just all gonna die? Debbie?
Mine was like, oh, such a bummer. Like now we can't go outside.
So you were sad that you couldn't go outside. You were like bummed out, and then she just wanted to be a homebody, and he thought everybody was gonna die. Raymond?
Oh man, I wasn't sad, but I wasn't happy. I was in between.
You were in the middle.
Yeah, I was in between because I want to go outside, but I couldn't. I want to stay inside, but I couldn't because my little brother he plays games all day, and my big brother Elijah he
You were like right in between. So you were like, I want to go outside, and I don't want to go outside. My first thoughts was I didn't think it was going to reach all of the world in general. You know, I heard it was over there in China, and I was like, okay, if it gets over here, it's going to be that bad, but it was bad, and I didn't see it coming that way. That's my first thought. When it was only in China and then began to spread, what were your feelings?
I didn't give much thought to it. Like,
You didn't think about it?
no, I was like, oh, another virus or another like sickness around, like,
Around the world?
yeah. Not that I didn't care about it, but like, you know, like, oh, okay.
Liza?
When it first got like
When it started like really spreading, that people were like jumping on planes to go back home, and then they would bring it, and everybody just start spreading like crazy.
what did I think about that?
What were your feelings?
That it was really gonna be horrible. That it was really gonna be sick. Like we was really gonna die. But then again, I thought like this was just like a process that the church had to go through.
You thought it was like a process the church had to go through? Deborah?
Mine was like at the same time scared, but like mine was like scared, but like at the same time it was like sad because like people were dying.
So you were like scared for yourself, but then you were sad because of people that were dying? Raymond? What are your feelings when like COVID started spreading everywhere, like everywhere around the world?
Worried.
You were worried?
Yeah, my grandma was in Puerto Rico, and my cousin, my uncle was in Puerto Rico.
You're just worried about family. You're like the
About-
farther away ones.
Yeah, farther away family, and that's one. And one.
Yeah. Far away ones, yeah. I think everybody started like, that's what worried everybody about COVID, where they couldn't see the families. They had to like talk to them and didn't even know if they were okay. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people had to close down. A lot of problems came with that. When it began to spread, at first I was like, it's like we're gonna get one or two, and then everything started closing down, and I was getting like man, like I could lose my job. Like I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know. Like nobody lives off of unemployment. That's not enough, and you know there's a lot of worries that came along with that type of situation. So when rules in everybody's town began to change, did you cooperate or did you rebel? when they started putting curfews, when they started saying, "Hey, 6 feet, everybody wear your masks. Um, we need to be careful. We need to be clean." Like, did you follow the rules or did you rebel? Where you were like, "I'm not gonna do that."
I think at first.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I think after COVID had started spreading, I got so scared. I was like, oh my god! And then I think I followed it down to the point.
Down to the point you were like, "I'm gonna follow it just so
no,
that
stay away.
I don't want to catch it." Legend.
Oh, I stayed home.
Yeah, but did you follow it like all the way down to the letter? All the rules the governor put in, all the rules that like president had put in.
Definitely, yeah, I had to. I had no option. Like, you had no
No,
option.
people had options.
No, I mean, people had options, but I mean, I didn't have options. You had to stay home.
Yeah.
Not, if not, you had to. It was either taking the chance of getting everybody else sick in your house, or you getting sick.
Yeah. Debbie,
I followed them.
you followed.
I have to
Mm.
because of my time. Not other things. Like habits that I could get sick
Hmm.
because I'm tyrant. So I had to follow it.
So you were like really responsible because of your tyrants. It would have made you easier to catch it. You were like really responsible. You were actually like, "No, I'm gonna do what they tell me to do." Raymond, did you follow the rules? Did you like do what they told you to do, or you were just like, "No, I'm not gonna wear my mask.
No,
I'm not gonna stay away."
I did it because I didn't want to get sick. I didn't want no shots.
You didn't want shots. You was scared.
No, because I remember I was in the hospital and they gave me the shot like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I was like out. And then the doctor came in. He was like, what? He like, wait, what? I was like, I fucked him. He like, oh, you fucked him? I was like, any little poke you give me, I feel it.
Yeah, you just didn't want to get shots. You were scared to catch it. I did follow the rules. I didn't want to get anybody else sick. I didn't know. Not everybody in the world didn't know exactly how this works. So what we could do to prevent it would be helpful for yourself and for everybody else around you. So I was like, yeah, I'll follow it. It's not a big deal to me. Um, I know a lot of people who didn't, who were like, I'm not gonna do that. That's it's my body. I get to say what I want. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but you should be cautious of yourself and other people. Um, when people began to die across the world and in your own state and country, how'd you feel?
I felt
Yeah,
I felt sad.
sad.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why exactly did you feel sad for? Did you feel sad because they were
'Cause-
dying?
Cause they were like, I don't know. I felt sad because like you don't know like what those people's last moments were,
Yeah.
and like a lot of them died alone. So then you think about, oh, like what are they saved, or like like what if they think like they went to everlasting peace and instead they went to more suffering.
That is true.
What did I think about it?
When people started dying around the world, in your own state, in your country, how did you start feeling? One thing is being told stay in your house, you're quarantined, and then you keep hearing people dying.
It felt horrible because that could have been one of us. Could have been one of my close ones.
It's true.
I felt really sad.
Really sad. Why?
Because of your kids.
Literally kids. A lot of kids caught it too. Remember?
Oh, so me, I didn't feel sad. I felt worried. I felt like a little bit worried, a little bit not worried because I was God who saved, and I was Jesus who healed and blacks away all the bad things that happened, and what came to me. But either way, it's like if you have God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus together and all in one, nothing can touch you, nothing, and no one, and nothing or no one can hurt you.
That is true. I mean, you better think about it. You are feeling sad that these people, these children, women, men are dying, and Raymond makes a big point, but if they have Jesus, that's gain for them. Okay, they went and met him before we did. Like, I want to do that. So it's just like the more you look at it spiritually, the more joyful it seems. And the world doesn't see it that way. They'd be like, how can death be joyful? Like, you got to know Jesus first to understand that one. You got to know Jesus. I think when people started dying, the stories that kept releasing about the people that were dying were the ones that really got me. Like this lady who had been 90 something years old, and she got it, and then they only had one machine left, and she said, "I lived my life, so give it to someone younger who still has life to live." And she died because she gave the last machine to someone younger who needed it. And stuff like that, that's very selfless, that's very touching. And you'd be like, wow, like those are amazing people. I think those are amazing people who put other people, even though they need it too, they're like, no, I lived my life, you should have a chance to live yours.
And the people that they didn't even know.
Exactly, they're people that they didn't know, and they were just like, whoever it is, that's like people who donate their organs after they die. They're like, I want to be an organ donor. You don't know who the insides are going to, but you want to help someone who can't see, who needs a new liver, who needs new lungs. You want to help them. They get to live life even though yours already ended. That's pretty amazing. um do well, the first person, never mind. But someone in our family, someone that died, like someone whose family member died of this. What do you say? Like, how do you console them, who are left behind while their loved one is no longer with them?
Like, do I know somebody?
Yeah, like if you know someone, or if you were to, like, someone were to, one of his family members were to have it, or what if one of your family were to have it, one of your family members, what would you say to console the person, or what would you want someone to say to console you?
This one, I can't. I don't know if I know somebody who, no.
Just imagine.
Yeah. I don't know what I'd say or would want people to say, because like if you lose somebody, it's like I don't think there's any words for that, because you just lost somebody you really loved or cared about,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, what can you say that'll make me feel better in that moment?
Yeah.
Like, you could sit there, listen to them, or just not say anything at all.
Mm.
'Cause I don't know. I don't know what I'd say or would want anybody else to say to me.
Like,
I don't believe that there's words to say when a person dies. It's like you stay without words
mm,
and expect the death, especially if they're young or old. I mean,
that's
everybody has a reason to live. That's what I think. And in my opinion, it's like you run without words, especially when the death is unexpected.
yeah. Debbie,
I don't know actually.
you don't know what you'd say, you don't know what you'd feel. No. Raymond?
What?
It's okay if you don't know. Like, if you were to know someone who died of COVID, or someone whose family member died of COVID, like,
No.
you know what you would say? Do you know, like, how you would react, how you would feel?
Yeah. I say to not worry about anything. If he was Christian, if he was saved, and if he discerned one, that to pray for him, so that God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus will have mercy with him and so.
That's true. I mean, you could pray for them. That could be like the best way to help them out. But like, I do think that if they want prayer, that's a perfect way to do that. That's a perfect way to like connect with them. But I also think that most of the time there's no words you can say to help them. Not really. more, it's just more helpful if you sit with them and let them cry it out, or you sit with them and just listen if they have something to say. That's that your presence alone could be enough help, could be enough for them, you know,
I mean,
to console them.
sometimes it's like if you're young and like, especially like if you're young, you wouldn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Because like a young person wouldn't know how to console an older person.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just giving them a hug is what fills the person,
Yeah.
or just by, or because some people, it depends on the person. Because some people be like, oh, you try to talk about God to them, and they be like, oh, like don't talk to me about that
Yeah.
because he just took my person or my loved one. But sometimes I be thinking like it's not always God's fault, and it's because God knows what He does, and He got our timing. Like we don't know when we're gonna die, so
Mhm.
it's like we all got our moment of death. So like we just gotta live our life
Yeah.
to the fullest, and if we're in Christ, it's even better because we know where we're gonna go.
Exactly. I just think that when it's that certain point where someone has died close to someone, they're not in the right mindset for you to have a reality conversation. Okay, let's be realistic. No, because they just lost someone. They're hurting, they're in pain. They don't want you to be realistic.
And their thoughts are not together.
Exactly. You don't want to push them more. Like they're in pain. You would want to be like, look, I don't know what to say, but I'll give you a hug if that's okay.
They just want you to
You
grieve.
know, like yeah, exactly. Like if I'm happy, I want you to be happy with me. If I'm sad, I would appreciate it if you would be sad with me. That's actually what the Bible tells us to do. We're supposed to rejoice with who is rejoicing and be sad with who's being sad.
And not only that,
I
but
think that's the best way to
and not only
help
that,
them.
and not only that, but we're supposed to be a shoulder for anybody who needs us.
That too. That too. We should be able to give an ear, not always be talking, not always trying to give advice. Always listening. We get two ears, two, and
Not
one
one.
mouth. So 2 ears. We should be listening better than talking. Um, what about when we went into lockdown? How did you cope with it? What about the people with anxiety, claustrophobics? When we were all quarantined, like, how did you guys deal with that part of not being able to go outside?
Um, I know for me, my anxiety kicked in like that.
Yeah.
Like after like a week or so, I thought quarantine would be like all fun and games. I could just lay in my bed, eat, whatever.
Yeah.
But then after like a week or so, I got like so anxious and I wanted to get up and going and stuff like that. And then I looked to the bright side. I'm like, maybe I can just get closer with God. And that didn't turn out so well either because then all the news you're hearing and then your emotions just cloud up in your mind. And
Mm-hmm.
that you just like, I don't know. It didn't work out for me as much as I thought it would.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like when quarantine hit, I was like me and my friends, like I include them, we all went through a stage of depression, anxiety, loneliness, and it run like no young person can say that suicidal thoughts never went through their head, and then it's like at the same time not being in church doesn't help. So it's like if you step up, like if you were going through quarantine out of church, it's mostly when the enemy was like dealing with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Like personally, I feel like quarantine was like it was a good thing for some people, and at the same time it was a bad thing because it made your thoughts go to the
Mhm.
left, to the right, and then other people be like, oh, but quarantine was a moment for you to get closer with God. It was supposed to be a moment to be closer with God, but not everybody was 100% firm, and
Yeah.
not everybody can be like, oh yeah, I was firm, this and that. No, but we all had our moment in quarantine, but we were just like, what's the point?
Yeah. Maybe.
It was a couple days ago. I cried because I like had anxiety, and I'm just like little have anxiety, but like I still have some. So,
Yeah.
I felt like I was in a bubble, and I needed to get outside, but I couldn't go outside by myself. So, my mom was there. She helped me do it. So I started crying, but then she made me feel better. She made me feel better. So I feel much better.
Maybe.
Wait,
When we went into quarantine, into lockdown, how did you cope? Like, did you have anything that came up? Did you feel uncomfortable? Did you want to like really, really go bad outside? You know?
Yeah.
No, you were okay.
Yeah.
He's the best one. I think that when we went into quarantine, it was a time, especially for the Christians. It was a time to get close to God. It really was. But the closer that you get to God, the more He shines on who you are, and then that brings out things about us that we don't like. You know, like anxieties and depressions and just things that we know that is us and just makes us so flawed. And when you get close to God, you be like, why? You know, why do you make me this way? Why do I have this? Why do I have to feel this way? And there's just that's kind of the point of quarantine. The quarantine was, I'm gonna say it was like 75% miserable, and then like 25%, what, 35%. Okay, it's just I missed the routine. I felt like I was stuck in a movie. You know what I mean? Like, you know, those movies where they rerun the same day. That's what it felt like. It felt like every day was the same thing. Every night was the same thing. And even though you're trying to get close to God, that's not what we do every day of our life. We don't spend the whole time stuck in the house. So it was very, very hard in the emotional, personal part of me. That part was that was the very hard part that I had to get over, because I missed going outside. I missed going to work. I missed, communicating with other people, which is weird because I'm not a social person, but I missed it, being able to see other people.
But I think that's what God wanted to break was the routine.
That's what I'm saying. But doing that again, if you get closer to God, that's like when Isaiah had the vision of the throne. When he had the vision of the throne, he he was seeing the throne of God, and there was God, and he just fell to his face. He legit put his face to the ground because he knew he was flawed. He knew that he could sense it. He was like, I'm a sinner. Like, no, you, like, depart from me. You are too good for me. And that's kind of what we do. Even if you've been a Christian for years, the moment you step foot anywhere near God, you're still a sinner. Jesus cleans you. That's what Jesus did for us. When we're in front of God, He shines, and that shows us our flaws. That's just the way it is. Um, in Ohio, I don't know about any other state, but in Ohio, when we all went into quarantine, the crime rate of the streets went down. The crime, you didn't hear any kind of crime really in the streets at all. But the physical abuse in the house went up like crazy. So here are people trying to keep them safe, trying to keep everybody else safe, and at home they're getting beaten. At home they're almost dying. Their spouse is trying to like choke them to death, and then they have to go to the police and be like, hey, they just beat me. The abuse rate went up so high, although the crime rate outside. So like, it's not safe out there and it's not safe in here. Like, that's what people had to deal with when they went into quarantine, and a lot of people didn't notice that. They were just like, stay home, be safe. Like, home is not safe for them. Where are they supposed to go? Again, that was in Ohio. I'm not sure about any other state. um let's go to number 2. The big one that kind of made all of the world go crazy was George Floyd. That's the one that made everybody pick sides. That's the one that made everybody was like, you're with us or you're against us, and that's it. I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but George Floyd was the 46-year-old black man that was killed in Minnesota by the cops. They killed him. The cops killed him, and it was completely terrible thing to see. And that's the first question. Did you watch it?
What?
Did you watch it? The video of him being killed?
No, I couldn't. Everybody was posting it on social media, and people were talking about it, and then I tried to watch it, and then like a couple of seconds in, I couldn't even finish because it was so like, I don't know, it just made me like super sad. I was like, wow, like that's really what's going on in the world.
Liza?
I watched the video and I seen protests. I mean, we had a protest here on Fuller, and it's like it's crazy how not every cop is bad, but there's cops here that be stupid, like for real. And I feel like they take advantage of their position in the police.
Debbie?
I couldn't watch it because I smashed it.
She was without technology at this point. But I did not watch it. I couldn't bring myself to watch it. I do know what happened, of course. They were talking about it everywhere. But when the video first leaked on media, no, I did not. I couldn't bring myself to do that. Just the words of people describing how it happened, oh, it hurt my heart. Like it was really just imagining it was enough for me. I did not want to watch it. When it How did you feel honestly afterwards? Like after, even if you didn't watch it, after everything hit and everybody was posting, everybody was fighting, how did you feel afterwards?
I felt like I had to get away from social media, and I did. It was like so much, cause then all these after like George Floyd had died, then all these other problems of social justice and stuff started popping up, and then I just got so overwhelmed by everything that was going on around, plus COVID, that I had to get away from all of it.
Liza?
What did I?
Afterwards, after it all blew up, what did you honestly, how did you feel afterwards?
Horrible. Like I didn't understand why it had to happen like that,
Yeah.
or why it had to go down like that. And so there was other options, and how to handle the situation.
There was clearly other options. That's true.
I was told that technology, but you thought like you had a dream that we were in a place that it was just me, you, and her, and Abraham, and my mom, and you told us like to be safe because like the charts were high upstairs, like upstairs. The charts were high of like abusing and like trafficking
Yeah.
of kids, and you told us like your dream, and we were and it made me like the dream was like so intense that like it just made me didn't want to go outside anymore. So, and then the problem when it ended, like it made me really sad, and it made me like worried at the same time. Because,
Yeah.
like what if it happened to one of us? So I got really scared.
Yeah. I think afterwards I took a break off of media. I did that as well. I couldn't seem to breathe every time I opened Facebook, every time I opened Instagram. It was just like everywhere. And it wasn't like we were avoiding the truth, at least not for me. I wasn't avoiding it. I just sometimes you don't want to react too quickly. You don't want to say the wrong thing, so you need to take a step back. And people need to let you take a step back. And every time I opened media, it just wouldn't give me a break. Like it was just every time. So I did take a break. I didn't go in for a while. And then everything else that was going on as well, the people were not listening to each other. The public was so like, I want to be heard. And everybody's yelling at the same time. Nobody's listening to anybody. And all these other stuff started arising. The child trafficking got really bad. Women started missing. Kids started missing. And everything it was like one thing after the other. So afterwards, it was just like I couldn't pinpoint what to worry about, what to have a conversation about, argue about, because everything was hitting me at the same time. When the riots started, the alborotos, what did you think? The riots, like at downtown, when everybody just went crazy.
At first, I thought we're all gonna rip each other's heads off because there was so much. There was like then they created fires and everybody was like literally fist fighting, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the military had come, and I was just like, this is like so out of hand.
Yeah.
Because we could they could have done a simple protest, and they could have been heard, but like they were aggressive and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't think that's the way to go, but
Yeah. Elijah.
I think when the riots started happening, like it was more of a warning for so the government can see that they weren't doing nothing. So we were gonna take over
Mm.
of what we wanted them to see. We wanted them to see our point. So we wanted to take over so they can see that they weren't having justice.
Mm.
So when the riots started happening, it was more like a warning for the government, like, hey, like we're knocking on y'all door. We're trying to let y'all know this is going on. We don't feel comfortable with this going on, but y'all not listening.
Mm-hmm.
So they did what they did. They had to break things in order to call their attention, and what happened? They had their attention
Exactly.
for days, weeks, and months. So I mean, even when they did the full protest,
Mm.
there was U.S. Army here. They had helicopters. They had everybody. Why? Because we had their attention. So in order for us to have the government's attention, we had to do something crazy and beyond to have their attention. Because if you do something so simple, it's like, okay, it's just dumb. Like they're just gonna keep going. No, but they had us barricaded in a way that they had us locked up for months, a month or something. And they had us when they let us all out, that they gave us the green light to go out. Of course, we were gonna protest about that George Floyd thing. Of course, we was, because it wasn't fair in how he died, and then you wanted us to just pretend like nothing happened.
Mm.
So when the whole protest started happening, of course we were gonna have a riot. Of course we were gonna burn police cars, because it was our way of expressing ourselves. Because if we don't express ourselves, if we're Puerto Rican, which most of our audience is probably Puerto Rican, the rest of them are probably Dominican, whatever. But my point is, if you're some type of Hispanic or any type of culture, we're gonna react a certain way to call the government's attention, because that's the only way of being loud. Of being loud is the only way that we can call other people's attention. It's just like mommy. When mommy wants to call our attention, what does she do? She yells at us. So we have to yell our emotions out to the government, and that's what I feel like we did when the riots started happening.
They were
I wasn't really concerned about
the riots.
the riots. I was just scared that everybody was going to.
You were more worried like everybody's gonna get sick instead of like the
Everybody
riots.
was just touching everybody, like
They were
they're
so
just
close.
together.
Yes, that's true.
And they're supposed to stay 6 feet apart. They're all together.
That's true. For me, when the riots started, that all started as a protest. Okay, it really did. It was all in a piece. It was like, we just want you to hear us out. Now the problem is that people were hurt, especially the black community. They were hurt, and then the other ones who are their close friends, their family, they were like, look, we ain't black, but we're gonna stand with you. So everybody wanted to come in peace, everybody wanted to say something, and then when it was time to say something, everybody's pain just came up. And then nobody was listening. Everybody started yelling, everybody started fighting, and the riots started. They were like, okay, you're not listening to me, I'm not listening to you, so I'm just gonna show you how I feel. And that's where they just started bombing like all these stores. They were like, I'm just gonna take everything I want. And then they started burning up police cars and breaking stores and like breaking windows. And that, I understand their pain. I don't agree that it would have made it would have made an impact the same way. Just because you know what made an impact was that after the riots here in downtown, a private school that's only for like it's usually only for black kids. They went to downtown and they cleaned up the mess the riots left. Do you see what the point is? The point is that there's two ways to talk. There's two ways to show how you're feeling. And although these kids, because they were kids, they were teenagers, they felt some type of way. They were like, we do not support that you guys broke innocent businesses. You guys broke their windows, and now people who had nothing to do with this have to come and pay for it. So they went and they cleaned up the mess. And there was a teenager in my church who had just turned 18, a black guy that went to one of these. He went to the rally and said he was going in peace. He's like, I'm just going to put out my voice on it. I'm not going to get into fights. He went Everybody got into it. The police started gassing people, and he blew up one of the police cars. He was already 18, and they're trying him as an adult now. And my pastor went to visit him, and he told him, I regret doing it. I didn't go there for that, but I got mad and I did it, and now I'm gonna be seen as an adult and be trialed as one because he blew up the police car. You know, like how easy it is for you to say, I'm going to go to do one thing, and your emotions are like skyrocketed, and you do something completely different that you didn't think you were gonna do. That's why the riots got out of that's just the one thing I don't agree. Like, if you're going as a protest, you go and you protest. You have every right to tell people how you feel. But when it gets so loud that nobody's listening, we have a problem because we're going to get defensive. We want you to listen. But if you're not listening to the other party, what are you going to do? You're going to react in violence because you don't feel heard. You don't, and that's just how humanity works. But you have to be very careful that you don't do something that then you're going to regret. Just like this teenager. He's from my church. His parents did not go visit him. My pastor did. And he told him, I regret going. I went and going in one point only, and I ruined everything. When the tension between whites and blacks escalated, what'd you think?
I thought that it got out of control as well because there was like some white people who just wanted to support the black people, and then other white people were like, racist against the black people, and I was like, no, like what you said, like nobody was like listening or whatever, and then black people were like telling off white people who just wanted to help them, and then like I got that, but then I didn't get it, and then I was just like, this whole time I didn't want to like not this whole time, but like the whole time it was happening, I just like I don't even want to put an opinion.
Yeah. Elijah?
I feel like that when the riots did start happening, when the blacks and white people started like having their problems, I feel like it was more like meant to be, like how how would uh how would it look if, for example, I was looking at a post, there was a white dude and there's a black dude. A white dude raped 8 girls. A dude killed one person. They gave the dude more years than what this white dude. So white people go to a place where they killed a black person when black people are gonna be like, oh, but y'all white people have more privileges than us. So the black people will feel more offended. And like for me, it's like more like it's true, like not that their actions were right, but the simple fact that their emotions were intact, like they knew what they knew what they was protesting about. White people don't know what it is to be in poverty. Like white people don't, not most of them. Some of them do, not a lot of them, but most of them do. Like white people don't understand what it is to be persecuted. They don't, because black people, what is black people and Hispanic people, we mix too much. And white people is more like we got privileges, like we can buy whatever we want. And black people is more like, oh, just because of your skin color, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. And a black person and a white person can kill 50 something people and they get like 3-4 years, 6 years max. And I feel like that's how humanity is now. Like we come to the point where we're choosing light skinned people and not the whole the whole community. So like when the whole community gets together is Puerto Ricans, blacks, Mexicans, all these type of people. But when you see a white person, it's like you question yourself, like, what you doing here? Like, where were you? What are you gonna do to defend me? And I mean, I got white friends, and it's like, it's true. They got white privileges. Like, they live in a good mansion house, or they got good fancy clothes, or good looking cars. And you be asking yourself, like, why are they here? Like, what are they going to do to help us? So, I mean, when the black people and white people started beefing, it's just like the black people had their reasons
Yeah.
and why they didn't want white people there. So that's my thing is like, if you're white, you're not always welcome into a place where there's a black death. Like, I don't feel like you should always be there. You know, like, I feel like we should all have our space. The same way you wouldn't want a black person to be at a white
especially if they were killed by that party.
Yeah, like
especially.
exactly. Like, it's
you
like
have to be very careful with that.
and some white people were supporting the cop, and some people were supporting George. But that's the thing, that not everybody has the same mentality, and that's what happens with us we're like, when we're in church. We all do not have the same mentality. Doesn't matter what race you're from. We're not all in the same picture.
That's true.
That's what I think.
Debbie, any thoughts? No thoughts. For me, when whites and blacks escalated, we can clearly, honestly say this is not something new. Okay, there's been many deaths of black people done by white people, especially by cops, that nobody wants to address. Okay, when this George Floyd thing happened, it was like the cup was full and they just shaked it and everything went everywhere. We are not black, so we cannot tell this race not to react the way they want to. They're in pain. They have a right to feel that pain. My church, their church is more of Hispanics. My church has every kind of race there is, and my pastors, both my pastors are white, but we have black brothers and sisters at church. We couldn't just ignore it. We couldn't just say we're just not going to talk about that so nobody gets offended. We had to address it. We had to give them their right to speak, because they're part of the Christ family. They're part of our family. And we were like, we had no idea exactly what is it that they wanted us to do as support. We'd be like, we told them, you tell us, what is it that you want us to do? We would go protest. We will wear a sign that says Black Lives Matter. We will do whatever it is that will make you guys know that we stand with you. And 90% of the black community, of our brothers and sisters, said that they were just tired. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to give experiences that happened to them in the past. They were just tired of it. They were tired of the police doing whatever they wanted. They were tired of the government not caring. They were tired of every time someone be like, oh, well, they killed a black kid out in the street is because he looked guilty. That's what they were tired. They didn't want to sit and divulge in how it felt. They wanted it to stop. And that was so awakening for us, for my church, because we try to make them as comfortable as possible. We did go and protest. My church did do that. We did go. My pastora, the pastor's wife, she led them, and she said it was very peaceful. They went, they protested with a couple of our black brothers and sisters. They went with them. And she said they went, they prayed. There was a group of people that were already protesting, and they told them, can you guys pray? Like, we all want to pray with you. And they did. Everybody who was there, who went with them or who didn't, they were like, they all prayed together. They were all protesting, and then they went all home. That's not what always happened when people went to protest. There can be two outcomes. Okay, there could be two outcomes, and you can impact the way you want to. But you have to be very careful about your emotions. When it comes to black people, as Hispanics, we mix well with them. We like them. We like their food, kind of is like the same as ours, and they like our food. They like the way we talk. We get together, and we can combine. We can actually be friends. With white people, it's kind of harder, because they've had more, and it's hard not to be an equal with them. They're sitting here talking about my struggles of this, and this, and you're sitting here like, that's like, what? And it's a struggle for them, and it's not fair for us to say that's not a struggle. It is for them, and our struggles are our struggles. But that's why everybody got so angry at each other. They were just like, and some people were making ridiculous comments. There was my grandma was one of them who told my brother, "Why are there white people in that protest if that's for black people?" What does that mean? What does that mean? What if that woman, that white woman right there, has a son who's black? Is she not supposed to be in there? She's worried. She's over here protesting it because she's worried about her son's life. She has a right to talk. Just because they don't share the same color of skin. You can't be so ignorant to think that you have the right to say who can talk and who cannot. The same way, which is the next question, is when the public against the police, when that escalated. Because it wasn't always, it wasn't all about white and black. It became public people against police. What were your thoughts on that one?
Honestly, my honest thoughts.
Yes, your honest thoughts. Let's say this is like honesty 111.
Honestly, I was like, do what you can. You know, like, I honestly, I just didn't want to be in it. I was like, you know what? I'm over here, y'all. You know, I support y'all, whatever, but over there.
Yeah,
I was at a distance. I was like, I don't want to get into all of that.
exactly.
That's why I was like, I didn't want to think about it. That's why I was like, do what you can, you know, do what you're finna do. Cause I didn't want to.
Eliza, you don't want to comment? Debbie?
I saw a little protest from a little girl. She was really small. The police were like they're trying to get her like their side because she was like protesting with her mom, and she didn't want to protest with like the policeman. She wanted to like protest with the other people.
Yeah.
So the police like were forcing her to come to like their side, and they're like, I will protect you. Like, not you can do whatever you want, stuff like that. If she votes for me.
Yeah.
But she chose the other people. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to get into it.
When it comes to that, it got bad all around the country. It got bad. The cops and the public. Like, let's start with the cops. First off, the cops. If there was one who came to one of our classes and talked about this specifically, and he said that the biggest people, like the most people who just hate the bad cops are the good ones. You know, there is good cops. You just can't tell which is which. Especially when they're like right behind you and you just see a cop car. That's all you see. You know what I mean? And you honestly think, like, is everything okay? Like, or do we look suspicious? You guys all got your seatbelts on? You know what I mean? That's what runs through your head when you see a cop car, not the guy or the chick running the car. All you see is like, yo, that's the popo. Like, that's all that you see. And most of the time, after this, they were just slamming at the cops, and not every cop is a bad cop. Now the bad ones, man, did they test you? Do they test you? They do not care. They just look at you and be like, I don't like you, so I'm gonna give you a bad day. Those are the cops that you need to like watch it. You don't want to do something that's gonna make them be like, oh, I arrest you now. Let's go. Because you end up losing just because they wanted to give you a bad, or they had a bad day and they want to take it out on you.
There's this one teenager who got beat up because he was just walking and the police.
That happens all the time. They'd be like, oh, he looked suspicious. Like the guy, I don't remember his name. He gave his testimony and he said, this black guy, he said that this white cop had stopped him because he looked like he was selling drugs. And he told him, I'm not. Check me. I don't even have any on me. So he arrested him and then he planted drugs on him. Just because, and the white cop says, just because I wanted to meet a quota. just because I wanted to make sure that I had the right amount of numbers in before I clocked out that day. I arrested him. And the black guy did 4 years. He did 4 years for something he did not do.
Like there's this dude I know that he had made a video of these two cops. One was white. They were both white. There was a lady and a dude pulled him over, and he was like, "Sir, I just need your license and registration." And he was like, the dude told him, he's like, before you check before you throw my plate through the computer, I'm letting you know that I got a gun in the car. My bullets are in the trunk, and my gun is in the casing. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Then the lady cop was just the white cop, because he was black, so she was like looking at him like up and down, and he was just recording, and the whole time that he's recording, she's just telling him like, hey, like, you're looking suspicious, this and that, I need you to get out the car. So the dude has his hands on top of the wheel, and my dude, he's just saying like, hey, like, I feel threatened with you having your hand on the gun. And she just automatically, the minute that that the dude tells him, can I get your license and registration? The male cop tells my boy, he's like, can I get your license and registration? The lady cop pulls out her gun and puts it at his face automatically, just because she felt threatened with him putting his hand on the glove compartment. So it shows like, not every cop is bad, but even women.
Even women and men. This is not like
women.
Only men do it. Women cops do it too. It's also not a surprise. Racism has existed for years. It still exists, even though everybody be like, everybody's equal. No, they're not. No, they're not. There can be rules and there can be laws put in so that everybody be treated equal. They are not treated equal. And racism still exists. It still exists. And back to the man who had testified, he did 4 years, and then he came out in jail. He had found Christ. He came out, and he met up with the white cop who had arrested him, and he wasn't a cop anymore because he told them, look, I lied. He didn't do anything. I planted drugs on him, and he told him, like, I just want to say I'm sorry. After 4 years of being in prison because this man had lied, he said, that's all I needed to hear. I just wanted an apology. And now they're friends. They're friends. They work together and everything.
Oh, we were in class and we saw a video that there was a lady and there's a man, like I think he was a teenager, and he wanted like all he wanted to hear was like he's like there like to say that the lady to say sorry to him because I don't know what happened, I forgot, but she did something to him that put him in like she tried to put him in jail, and she put him in jail, but then when they went to court, she revealed the truth, and he was like, all I wanted to hear was a sorry, and she was like, can I hug her, like, and they were really nice to each other, and then they became friends.
I know what you're talking about. It was this teenager, his brother. The lady was a cop, and this white lady was a cop, and she walked into the wrong apartment. And the boy's brother was sitting on his couch, and she shot him. She killed him then and there, like, oh, you're in my apartment, and he was in his own apartment. So when they're trialing her, the family of the man didn't want to speak. So the brother that just had turned 18, he was like, I want to speak. And he's like, my family doesn't know Christ, but I do. And I just want to let you know that I forgive you. And there she started crying. She was broken. She asked him, like, can I hug him? Like, is it okay if I hug you? And he said, yes, it's okay. And like they both started crying. Like, when you have Christ, there should be a third option. There should be a way that Jesus reflects on what's going on. And this 18-year-old boy did that. The video, oh my God, the video made me cry. Like, his words were amazing. You know that Jesus was talking right through him. And he changed that woman's life. The woman that killed his brother. Like, man, that video was crazy. What do you think us as the people should or did do that was good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we should have prayed, and I think we should have prayed, and then we should have went from there to see what God wanted us to do. We could have gone and protested with them, and spread the word of God. But we also, should have looked for God's direction in all of it.
Elijah. What do you think should have been done or was done that was good?
I feel like that was a time for the church to pop, for us to actually like at that moment was for them to.
Take answer you.
It was a moment for them to like to take over, like for them to be like, like it's time for us to like to step in and show them that we're different, take a different type of step. But they didn't.
Yeah.
They just stayed in behind doors. That's when
I feel like the church did hide. Like it was their moment to
shine,
let God use them and be like, God, tell us what you want us to do. Tell us what you want us to say. And when George Floyd happened and all the riots started happening and everybody just started like going at each other, I feel like the church hid. Like the church was like, I'm not going out there. I'm not stepping foot in all of that. That's not even my race. Like, we are all sons and daughters of God. Okay, we are a family in Christ. It is about you.
And we all bleed the same.
Exactly. We get cut and we all bleed the same color. What do you mean it's not about you? I feel like the church was not responsible when that happened. Debbie? Do you feel like there was anything that should have been done or was done that was good?
I didn't do nothing.
Huh?
I didn't do nothing.
Nothing? I feel like most of the stuff was not handled well at all.
They were just putting the blame.
Yeah. How did your church react?
I don't know.
No.
I wasn't there. Like, yeah, we hadn't gone to the church yet, so I don't know. And I was visiting yours, and I think they reacted pretty good to the whole situation. Like you said before, that they gathered the Black Canadian stuff of the church, and we even had a whole class about it and stuff like that. I think they reacted to the whole problem, including COVID, pretty well.
Right?
I don't think wasn't in church at that moment, but I feel like the world answered in a way that the church didn't.
Yeah.
So, like the world showed more love to the people than the church did. So,
How did your church
wait, just to
react?
point out, most of them were youth who showed love.
Yes, I can honestly say that is true. The church, how did church react?
I wasn't visiting like that in the church, but I was visiting them. So, it was pretty good. You guys, the church that you go to, it was you guys reacted with, like you guys present community and other Black people, and I think your church is like way like much like supportive of than like Hispanic church, because they're like more like community.
Yeah.
Just like the
Like they involve everybody.
yeah. The Hispanic church, they just put their side on it. But
Yeah.
like your church, it just puts community and everybody.
Yeah.
So I think your church.
I think the church, like Elijah said, hid at this time, and that was a very wrong move. Most of them were like, I'm not Black, so Like I heard that from like majority white churches, Hispanic churches, like Arabic, Indian churches, and they were just like, no, that's not with us. And you, it's hiding. It's like, why? That was the moment you were supposed to go show God's love. Why would you hide? Like, I don't understand. Like I said before, there is Black people in my church. They're my brothers and my sisters. So we couldn't just pretend it didn't happen. That wasn't an option for us. I do remember that before. No, wait. They went to my pastora went to the riots to protest with a couple of people, but a little bit after that, my pastor started feeling some type of way. He was giving a study about Revelations, and he talked with the other pastor from the church, from our sister church, and told him, I want to address this. Do you think it's a good idea? And the other pastor said, this, you have to address this. Like, there's people in your church and there's people in my church who are very hurt about this. If we don't do it, we're just ignoring their feelings. So they did a man, what is that called? It's like this. It's like they sat a bunch of couples, they picked single Black people, they picked like married Black people, and they sat them down in the altar and they told people, ask questions. They told them, send them in, ask questions, that these people volunteered to answer your questions. So I mean, a lot of people sent in questions. A lot of white people from our church were like, we just don't understand. Like, can you make us understand? Can you let us know what it is we can do to help you? And I think that was one of the most amazing things to listen to, because there was people from all kind of ages there. And they gave their side of things and everybody listened. Everybody was like, wow, I did not think about it that way. But that was the time for churches to do things, to move, to help them. And they just didn't. Like, I feel like the youth of the world were like, we stand with you. Whatever we can do to help you, I got you. Like, how is that? I don't understand. Like, how is that possible? The church is supposed to be like, look, we are not the same race, but I'm gonna help you.
It's like if the world,
I got you.
It's like if the world was on compassion.
Exactly. What is that? Why is it the world loves to show more compassion than the church? The world loves to back someone up when something is unjustified.
But when the church is
and the church just turns a blind eye, like, I didn't see it.
I think
and then that's the thing, that the church is supposed to be the place of like where you're supposed to like restore yourself. But the world was that in the moment when everything started happening, the world was more of where everybody was like, yeah, like this is the part where we think that we show more love than the church does.
You know why? Because the world was listening. The world was listening to what they were saying, and the church was not. The church was like, it's not with us. Like, yeah, they were hiding, and that's like, then you want to go out and be like, God loves you. Like, where were you? Like a couple months ago.
Or God saves, or God does this, God does that. That's the point. And that's what makes the youth think about it.
Exactly. That's the big question when youth have to answer stuff like this. Because they'd be like, look, the adults in my life, in my church, don't act like this. They don't react this way. I'm just following what they're teaching, which is usually what happens. And that's what makes it so sad. The youth of the world will be ready to help you get justice. And the one that can give you justice, which is God, you don't introduce them to these people. Why?
they usually just push the word away.
Exactly. They'd be like, oh, if you don't listen to me the first time, I'm not talking to you anymore.
But what they did was that they pushed us away. Like the church pushed us away. That's what they did. Instead of giving us a hand, what they did was push us away and block us out. And they were like, we're not gonna let you in because because we're not that race. We're not from there. We don't. It basically told us like we don't care. And that's the thing that affects us a lot.
That's kind of also a problem with youth. When youth find something that they are passionate about, that they want to know, they want to do something to make a difference, and then the adults be like, no, we're not doing that. We're not talking about that. That's not with us. You just like squashed
Their dreams.
their passion. You were just like, no, tap it down, tap it down. Nobody's talking about that. We're not gonna deal with that. And that's something they're passionate about. Someone's passionate about something. There's a reason why they're passionate about that. They could have been really good at that. And you just told them, no, put it away. Nobody's gonna talk about that. Like,
No one wants to hear.
yeah.
But then they want us to go out and preach, you know, and that was the moment of helping people.
Exactly.
Of youth that got out of church were the same youth that were in those protests.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Christianity. How did you meet Jesus? Really meet him?
Like first time or
When you got serious about him, what's the the
um,
moment you met Jesus, like he became real to you?
the first time, I mean not the first time, when I met Jesus, that it was the elder who prayed for me, because I said it before, I wasn't taking it seriously after I accepted her, but then when I heard that she was praying for me, I was like, I should just, give it a chance at first, and then when I started praying, I didn't want to tell anybody, and then it was like, it got better and better, and like, I just saw him in so many ways, and then I got really close to him, and then I was like, yeah, like that's my move.
Imagine.
I can surely say I met, and when I had my last encounter, I feel like was one of my most impacting ones. Like, was when I knew that I had to like turn back and look for God. Was when I was outside of church, and when they shot close to they shot at the bar with God. And that made me notice that I was like, I'm not alive because of my friends or because of what I had. It's because I had somebody else was praying for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the main focus. That's the main thing that we lose. That when we get out of church, we think that nobody's watching us, but in reality, somebody's always watching over us. Somebody's always praying for us.
Yeah.
And that's what protects us, and the mercy He has over us.
Debbie?
Mine was a couple of days.
What happened a couple of days ago?
I said that my spiritual life needed more like prayer and stuff like that. So I needed to start praying more, reading the Bible. So it made me cry. And I needed to pray more. So my mom, she told me to start praying. She didn't remember the speech, and she helped me. So I was like, I need to go pray. I need to go read the Bible. And then when I came back, my cup was empty.
Yeah.
And when your cup is empty, like you would like feel so desperate, and you would like start to cry, and you would you would feel like your cup is empty. So you need to pray. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I met Jesus.
That's good. How I met Jesus. Again, it's the elder. What is with the elders at church? Man, they anointed. They be ready. They like, I got you. This elder at church, she had told me, when your mind is running, you pick up the Bible, you read it, and I was like, you joking, right? That's not my thing. I don't like reading the Bible. And she was like, no, when your mind is running, you pick up the Bible. And that was it. And she walked away. She left me with those words. And then she walked away. And I was like, great. So before that, I used to cut myself a lot. And one day I picked up the Bible. I just decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. And I picked it up. And I actually understood what I read. And it just opened me up to so many things of Jesus that I was like, I can't give this up. Like, this is mine, and I'm going to keep it. That's it. How was your journey from when you met him until now been like?
It's been hard, like super hard. You can't it's like it's so much fun, but like it's tough because you gotta like deal with stuff every single day. And for me, it's like I deal with depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. So every day, it's like to get up from the bed, it's even a battle. And like till this day, I think like it's like I can't live without him. It's like the oxygen you need oxygen. It's like that's how I need
Yeah.
him. If not, like I don't even know where I would be.
Oh, yes. Elijah?
What was the question again?
Since you met him until now, what's your journey been like? Horrible.
Oh, since I met him?
Yeah, like since you met Jesus until
It's been
now.
good. I mean, it's been good and it's been horrible at the same time. Like, I mean, in one way, it's like I feel good, but at the same time, it's like the people I hang out around with, or who I used to hang out around with, were like more impulsive. Like they used to be like, oh, like like do this, and I used to go and do it. Or even my own cousins, like, hey, like let's go do this, and I'll be like, all right, let's do it. And then, like God came along and he was like, I'm gonna take everybody who's around you, I'm gonna take them out, like I'm gonna take them away from you. And then like, poco a poco, but like me sacó a mi amistad del lado. Now I'm alone. I'm alone, I'm not alone, but I got people who help me.
You got the right people.
I got the indicated people in my life now. I mean, but then it comes to the point where you start thinking like, dang, like why did I do those things? And your mind just starts running and running and running. And sometimes just like you were saying, like you used to cut yourself, and then when I got out of church, it was more like me smoking. Like I used to like relieve my pain for the moment, like smoking, and having fun with my friends. And then as soon as I got back into church, it was just like none of the people were around anymore. So it was just like, dang, you gotta go through that lonely spot by yourself now.
Yep. That's how you know who's real. Baby?
It's pretty good now.
Pretty good.
It's like gonna get harder, so I don't even know. So I don't want to. I'm just gonna take the safer route and go the real way instead of starting young and then going higher.
Yeah, that's so good. That motivation. She's like, I'm going for it. I am not taking the wrong road. Right, not today, Satan. Not with Debbie's. Not with Debbie. How was my journey from when I met him until now? Even before the elder, God was like, he was my thing. I loved going to church. I loved being involved in anything that the kids were doing, anything the youth was doing. I loved when like my mom would sit us down and teach us, like, oh, let's study about Joseph today. Let's study about Moses today. I loved all those things. I didn't completely understand everything, but I enjoyed being taught those things. So but I didn't know Jesus. You know what I mean? There's this thing where like people tell you about God and you like it, but you have to hit with him to really understand who he is. So when I came to know him, when I came to know Jesus, it was just like Larry said, it was horrible and it was so good. It's just like being satisfied and not being satisfied. Like you want more, and the moment you get more, something else come and bam, hits you. And then what you just got, you're just sitting here like, I just got it. I want to enjoy it. And then something comes and hits you again. And you're just like, like I don't understand what is it that you want from me. And all he wants you is to keep doing. Like he wants you to keep obeying, keep being joyful, keep talking to him. But that's not how you feel at the moment. You're like, man, if talking to you gets me hit so many times, right? What is the point? Like, I want to talk to you, but every time I do, I get hit by somebody else. I get stabbed in the back by that person I thought liked me.
It's like a roller coaster.
Right? It's like you go up and you be like, whoa, Jesus. And then you go down, you be like, oh, no. And then up again. And you like, he gives you this revival and then bam, drops you. And then you're just like, exactly. It's an emotional roller coaster. Being in life with Jesus, following him, is an emotional roller coaster we are never going to be ready for.
And it's like you can feel like you're all the way up here, and out of nowhere, just like,
and you get dropped, bro.
Yeah,
and you really think you hit the ground, and God's just like hanging on to you.
Stop.
He's just like, I got you, but you don't calm down, so I can put you down. Like, it's so emotional where you think you're by yourself the whole time, and God's just sitting there next to you saying, I'm right here.
It's like when you go bungee jumping, you're hanging off a cord, and it's like when you're done bungee jumping, your feet are just like,
There
you go.
So you're like, I don't know. But that's pretty much how it feels. I don't I understand when people say it's so joyful to be with Christ, to live a life with Christ. It's true. It's so much love and so much joy that he brings into your life that nobody else can give you. But it's not gonna be easy at all. At all. There's not 1 second in your life where it's going to be easy. You accept Jesus, you choose to follow him. That's our decision to do so. But the Bible says we're going to be persecuted. Every turn we take, we are persecuted.
Paul's life story.
If you are not being persecuted, something's wrong, okay? Because the devil isn't going to mess with you unless you are a child of God.
Give me your lifestyle.
Right. What is the hardest thing you can't trust God with?
That I can't trust God
You
with?
can't trust him with. That you give it to him and then you pick it right back up.
It's like, for me, it's when he tells me to wait for something. He'd be like,
Patience.
He'd be like, oh, you're gonna get it, but you just gotta wait. And then I'd be like, okay, you know what? I give it to you. No more worry, no more doubt. And then like the next day, I go to him like, dude, like you said you was gonna wait. Like, okay, okay. That's it. I think when he tells me to wait with something. Yeah. And I just be like, and then like the trust, the word when somebody says,
espera.
and then he's like, I should trust, and like the word
trust. You split it. You be like, trust.
Yeah, I mean, that's well for me.
Right, like,
I feel like when he's silent.
when he's not talking.
When he's not
Yes.
talking. Kids.
When he's not
Okay,
talking.
so like you look like, so like when I was at church, it's like dang, you should speak to me like every day.
Yeah.
Now I get back in church and you don't say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like what they going on? Do we lose communication?
Like, you got bad Wi-Fi.
Yeah, like bad connection, poor connection.
Bad Wi-Fi, no signal.
Like there's this one time I was sitting in the car, I was in the car wash, and then it was just like it's like the police person used to go tell you something, and it's like, okay, I get it, and then like the next day, the same thing. Okay, I get it. And then, like, you get back in church and it's just like, you know,
what happened?
Right?
Like, what happened?
Communication we had. Where'd you go? And then, like, you just sit there and it's just like, it's just a numb place where you just find yourself empty, you know?
Yep. Debbie?
For me, it's when I asked him a couple of days ago, I want to see you give me a break. I want give like, hold on, not yet, wait. Next day, that's the same thing. Hold on, you gotta wait. You can't see me yet. If you see me, hey,
That's true.
so I can't see you. But it's so hard not to see him if he's not gonna talk to me. He's just silent.
Exactly.
Like, I'm waiting. Hello.
That's like 90% of God. He does not talk back. He'd be like, you can wait. And you're like, no, I can't. No, I can't. I want to know. I want to hear your voice. I want to know what you want me to do. I want you to talk to me. Just say my name.
And then
just say my name.
And then that's the weird thing because he gave that to us. He gave us like impatience. So like you want us to be patient,
but you gave us impatience. Exactly. Right, he's like, I'm gonna test you. I'm gonna test you. I'm gonna see how much patience you got.
1, 2, 3, probando. 1, 2, 3, probando. Like okay, I get it. You testing me, but where are you at? Like, okay, like it's like
Are you sitting over there?
yeah, like,
Sitting over
like
there.
are you? And then everybody be like, oh, but he's just sitting down, paying attention to what you're doing. So if you are paying attention, then what you waiting for? And then
Like,
it's like,
hello.
yeah, like
I'm waiting for the right time.
like I know you hear me knocking. It'd be like you. It's like when God knocked on the door, he's a gentleman. On you, like he's not gonna let you. And then when you open the door, it's like, what happened? What happened, bro? Like you're supposed to have that type of brother connection with God, but
I think the hardest thing that I can't seem to trust God with, that I want to go and pick it right back up, is my family, like my extended family. Like, man, the grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, the cousins. I'd be like, why? Like, why would you give me this family that just doesn't seem to fit? Like, we're like, when you're a family and you all share blood, you're supposed to like fit this puzzle of that family. And it's like we all have mismatched pieces because we never seem to see eye to eye. And it's like, you know what? I'm not gonna worry about you. God, deal with them. And then they do something or they say something that makes me react to do exactly the opposite of what I just told God.
You're like heart to heart.
And I know God be looking at me like, you just said, let me take it. And you're like, yeah, but did you hear what he said? Did you see what she did? And it's still like, but you told me to do it. And I'm just like, I did. I'm sorry. Go ahead, do it.
You really did it. Now I can't do it.
And I spend most of the time far away from them so that I don't react that way. I don't want to stick my hand where God working. Yeah. I really don't.
You want to stay far away from that bubble so it don't pop.
What kind of showdowns in your life did you let God take your place and saw his glory?
Can you explain that a little bit?
So like, where's a situation in your life and you were like, you know what, I'm not gonna even stir the pot. God, you deal with that, and God dealt with it.
Like, does that have to be a bad situation or like
whichever situation?
I want to say school. So not back in my day, like a year ago.
She's so
or
old.
For the years,
she's so old.
And like the years past, I used to get like really, really, really bad grades, and I would come home with like D's and F's because I wouldn't pay attention. And then like I prayed before the school year started, like 3 months, and I prayed to God. I was like, I need good grades, and I know that like getting good grades is like doesn't matter like a lot. Like it matters, but
no, it matters.
like it matters, but like at the same time, God doesn't really care about your GPA or whatever. Anyways, so I asked, and now like I'm honor roll. I got like all A's and stuff, and I was like,
but if you put it in a simpler form, she was like that before she got serious with God. That's the before she's talking about. When you put in God into your things that are important to you, he makes you the best version of yourself. So it wasn't like she couldn't do it before. She couldn't get into honor roll before. It's just she didn't try. That's what she said. She didn't want to try. She didn't pay attention. But when she brought in Christ into her life, she was like, God, I want to do better. I want to be better. And that's what he helped her do. He's like, you're going to get into honor roll this year. You're going to get A's and B's. Nobody going to be like, that was Raeli? Eliza.
What was the question again? Sorry.
What kind of showdowns in your life did you let God take your place and you saw his glory?
It's kind of different. Because I always had to stir.
And you always had to stir the pot.
I always had to stir the pot first. Like, let me stir it up and see if it goes out my way. And then I'll let you go and take it and let you do what you want to do. I mean, let me see. I say, yeah, it never goes my way. I feel like it was when I met this girl, to the girl I'm talking to now. It was like, God, like, take everybody else on my way. Because like my weakness was women. My weakness is women. And but like when I met this girl, it was like everything changed. Like it's God in the situation, not me. It's not because I looked for her, because somebody else put her in my path. It was more because of what I needed at the moment. Like, like that's the person that's like pushing me forward. Yeah. I feel like I didn't stir the pot this time. It was more like, God, you know what? I give up. I'm taking too many chances in stirring my pot by myself. So, you know, like, and I keep hitting myself with the same thing.
Yeah.
So, you know what? It's up to you. Let it just be you. That, and I say the last time it was when I had to decide between the world and God. You know, it's like, you don't choose God today, you're gonna have to choose him tomorrow, because it's like I said, you stir the pot, you gonna meet the maker. So it's like you meet your maker, stirring the pot to your left or stirring it to your right. One way or another, you gonna meet your maker.
It doesn't matter. You already stuck your hand.
Yeah, like, either way, and he gonna cut your hand right off. Like, it's me, my boy. Yep. It's me. So it's like I had to like get molded in that place too. You know, I had to recognize that it wasn't because of my strength. It was because of his.
Exactly. So, Debbie, is there anything in your life that you let God take control and you saw His glory?
It depends because it's usually when like you just like try to like be like cool about something, but you can't be cool. So it happens with like my mom. She like you want to be like nice, but then it comes out rude, and then like she be like, "What you say?" And then she hits us, and I'd be like, "I'm just gonna let you take that one." So
man, it's just English to Spanish, and then Spanish to English. Like everything sounds rude, and you'd be like, "I'm not trying to be. I'm sorry."
Then you say sorry after you get hit,
right? And then
but them Puerto Rican chocolates be flying.
That'd be like, what? And then you run it away, and then you be like, what?
Dude, they like frisbees. They be like,
if y'all Puerto Rican, y'all better duck. Learn how to do it.
Man, for real.
Learn how to dodge. Dodge. Go on floor. Stop
dropping roll. Mine is actually kind of the same one, but the second one where it says, what time did you not let God do His will and you saw your own mistake unfold? I'm gonna say mine was with my dad. I tried very hard to I didn't have him at all in my life. So when I did get a chance to have him, it was just like he wanted a daughter that I was not, and I wanted a father that he is not. So we clashed all the time, and then he would say stuff that would hurt me, and then I would react and hurt him back. And that was me trying to make a relationship work that isn't there. So that's my mistake unfold. It was very stupid and painful time period. But then when it came to a point where we weren't even talking, and then my older brother is like, look, he told his parents, my grandparents, not to come and see you. That blew me. It blew me. I'm like, wow. So like the rest of the family picked him or me, and it really blew me. It really did. And he said, oh, well, don't get mad. And that's like the fastest way to get someone mad. Okay, it really is. So God broke me. He really broke me. He was like, okay, well, now it's my turn, and I'm gonna need you to go see him. And I was like, I'm not gonna go see him. He didn't want to see me. And I had to go. And he's like, you're gonna go, and you're gonna say you're sorry. And I'm like, I'm gonna go say I'm sorry. Like I didn't do anything. Why do I have to go say I'm sorry? And God's like, you're gonna go and you're gonna say you're sorry. So I was like, oh, fine. So I told my mom, take me. She took me. I went and I told him, look, if I did anything, if I said anything to hurt you, I'm sorry. And he started crying. He was like, no, like you have nothing to apologize. I'm sorry because I know that I hurt you. And that it's not a father-daughter relationship like it should be, but it's a brother in Christ and a sister in Christ relationship that should be. So I think that's mine. What is What kind did you like? What time did you not let him do what he had to do, and then you saw your own mistake come to light?
I think. I can't think of one, but I can think of. He's been telling me to wait for this one thing, and like I just like I can't think of something I've done. Like I did, but can I get like something as pictured?
Sure.
Like he told me to wait for this one thing, and I've wanted to stick my hand in it, but I know what would happen if I do. You know? It'd come out completely different, and then I'd choose like the wrong path type of thing. So
if you're talking about like you're waiting for something that he said he was going to give you, but you don't want to like lose patience and then go and try to get it yourself and then mess everything up.
It's like stirring the pot.
We're back to the pot. We're back to the.
You want to put your hand in, but he'd be like, Kurt.
Have you put your hand in anything that you weren't supposed to, and then you saw that it was a mistake? You should have let God do it, not you.
Yes.
Did you learn from that mistake?
No.
You didn't learn.
No.
Why not?
Because I'm still a kid.
Yeah, but did you learn anything? You said it was a mistake, so it means that you learned that it was a mistake.
I learned that it was a mistake, but I still do it.
So clearly, we also need to break our routines.
Yeah.
Because we like to keep doing things we know is a mistake that we should not be doing.
When she said that, she looked so good.
Right? She was like, I still do it though. Like, we need to stop that. We all do things that we are not supposed to be doing, and we still do them anyways.
I shouldn't be drinking soda, but I do.
That's not the same thing.
You're just in a whole entire different world.
What is the one thing adults, Christian, at your church or any church, or even if they have said something that broke you, something that made you not trust adults with your problems or questions?
Like with something I've asked or something.
Yeah,
I've said.
something you've asked or some way you acted and then they didn't quite understand, so they said something that hurt you, something that broke you, and you were like, well, I'm just not gonna ask anymore. I'm not just gonna talk anymore. I'll figure it out by myself.
I remember that I had said something, and it was about this topic that we were on, and it was they were talking, and then they listened to what I had said, and they were like, okay, anyways, and then after that I was like, okay, well then I'm thinking like, okay, well my opinion obviously isn't valued in that type of conversation, like in godly conversations, and I was like, then don't ask me like anything, you know. And then since there, like more occasions like that happened, and you know, it does cut deep. You know?
Yeah, especially when you have something you want to ask, and then they cut you, like, okay, but anyways, ooh, I don't like that.
I hate that.
I don't like that. Like, I asked or I said something because it's something I want to know, and I would appreciate it if you gave me some importance. I'm just saying. If I listen to what your question or what your importance is of your opinion, I would like to be listened to.
It says quick to listen,
slow to speak. Yep, quick to listen and slow to speak. Elijah, the question is there someone like an adult at your church, Christian? We're talking Christians, like adult at your church, at any church, your parents. Anything that you felt some type of way or you had a certain question and they said something that hurt you, that broke you, that you were like, I'm just not going to trust you guys with my problems then?
I wouldn't say it was more like a question. It was more like, it has to be a question.
No, it could just be something you said or some way you reacted or something.
One of the reasons when I got out of church was because of exactly that. Because people were always quick to judge and not to listen. Like, there's this one lady that she's a co-pastor, and she was like always judging me about how I dressed, based off how I dressed. And one day I remember I came out of work, and I remember I came out of work and I told the pastor, I was like, hey, I'm coming out of work, so like I'm gonna be late. And I remember that when I came to the church, like straight up, the youth were just like, oh, like he smells like weed, like straight up weed. And I was like, man, like little do you know, I'm coming out of work, man. Like I did everything I could just to come to church, and then like you hearing people judge you based off how you dress, how you look, of your hair, of your shoes. And it's like people who have positions, like that's what. And to this day, it hurts because you see them preaching, and then you see them in the street, and it's like they're a whole other person. You see them hearing music that you listen to, worldly music, and it's like people don't know how to just make like picture like if that's their children, like that's
Exactly.
they don't. And then one day it's like they could be them. They don't see that.
Super tricky.
Has an adult ever hurt you? Like when you had some curiosity, a question, you wanted to say something, you wanted to react a certain way, and they stumped it down. They were like, "No, yes." Do you want to say one or no?
Yes.
Okay, say one.
It's like when like you're like at church or something, and you like in class, like someone like says something, and then you want to comment, but you can't comment because like it would hurt. It will come out rude.
Yeah.
Or they will get offended, and then they'll be like, oh, that why you said this and this and this, and then you get a part away, and then you get into like deep trouble.
Yeah.
But it's not my fault that I was trying to express myself, and then you let them express this.
Exactly.
So that's not fair.
Everybody should be allowed to express themselves,
Yes.
even if you don't understand what their expression is. Everybody is allowed to be heard. Like, you were gonna say another one?
Yeah, now I remember. I remember this one time. I'm not gonna say who or when or where, but I remember this one time. I was doing something for God, and then they had said like a little comment, and then I was like, then why, I kind of doubted. I was like, then why would I do it anyways, And then now whenever I think of like the memory of like when I was doing it, and then after like the person had said it, I was like, I get so like, I don't know, like cringy. I was like, it like don't remind me of that memory, because like it's like one of those open wounds that it won't close.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we all know that words hurt more than if you would have just punched me. Okay? You could totally punch me, but and it would go away. You could bruise me, and it's gone in a week or two. It's gone, and then it's like, oh, we shake hands. Yeah, we're good, right? We hit each other. We're okay. But when you say something that you can't take back, that hurts way worse than if someone would have hit you. And I think mine, it's happened to me a lot, is when women, especially at church, want to pretend that their husbands no se le va el ojo. They don't look anywhere but at their wives. They believe their husbands are little saints. And then they want to come and tell me that I'm making them fall. Tell me, oh, I'm being a stone in their path. So I think there was one time that a pastora told me, like, oh, you should really watch when you're around the jóvenes, the guys. And I was like, excuse me? Because I was older. The guys were younger. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, do you think that I'm going around trying to make them fall? And she was like, no, you should really watch it. Watch how you dress. Watch how you walk. Like, no, watch their eyes. Why can't they watch what they're supposed to be watching and don't look where you're not supposed to be looking? Everybody is responsible for their own area. If you are responsible for your own area, you cannot blame somebody else because you looked, because you fell. No, you are supposed to be responsible for your own side. And if the other person has any fault in you falling, that responsibility falls on them. You don't need to be like, it's all about you. No. And that I've got that a whole lot. I got that a whole lot where damas, pastoras, they just want to come at the girls and be like, you should really watch how you dress. Don't go around just like walking with your heels and this. Like,
Because even if you
Excuse me?
you can look like a nun.
Right, excuse me? It's not, and most of, sometimes women don't know how to dress. But sometimes it's not the woman's fault that the man can't keep his mind out of the gutter. You cannot come at a joven, because I'm talking to you as a teenager. I've got all this from when I was a teenager. Okay, even a young teenager, a young adult teenager, if you want to put it that way, a young adult. You cannot come at me and tell me that I'm trying to make somebody else's husband fall. What? I don't want your husband. You know what I mean? You cannot blame other people just because you feel like you're the one that you love or yourself fell. You can't do that.
Reach your sister.
Oh, we got Abraham in the house over here.
Hi.
Okay. Abraham, you can answer the question. Has any adult Christian, like your parents, an adult in general in the church, have they ever said anything that has hurt your feelings, that have made you like question if you should talk to adults? Nobody?
Be honest. Be honest.
It's
Yes, be honest. You don't have to give names. You could just,
Like Marty said. I don't think it was
But if you don't want to say it, you don't have to say it though.
Okay. Next question. Have you ever been confused in a movement of the Holy Spirit?
Yes.
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 That is true.
And especially at a service. Okay, we could talk in general in life where you'd be like, God, what are you doing? But I'm talking at church when something happens, when they're like, God's moving, and you're like, I don't understand how, because I don't comprehend what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you?
Yes, like I'll not gonna specify when, where, where. There was this place I was at, and then God was like moving, but like not like moving, but like and like the thing had started really like dull.
Yeah.
And like I just like I didn't understand like what was going on, because then they were like, grab like how pastors or whatever, like the person on the microphone, like grab you over there, and then like everybody, I don't know, like he's like the word didn't even come out his mouth before everybody started like danzando.
Mm-hmm.
And then how when everybody's like danzando and stuff, your hair is like stick up because it's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Like God has prepared me in that area a lot, because I observed so much, and then that service I was like, what is going on? Like everybody was like there, and then I was like, this is not that's not it.
Yeah.
And then like I didn't understand, so I just sat down and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say anything though. I was like, okay,
Yeah. Eliza? Deborah? Is there any time where you were like at church and you saw God moving and you just didn't understand? Do you want to say one? Okay. Abraham?
Yeah. I'm gonna say like place.
You don't have to. You don't have to name it.
So I was like 7, and there was someone getting prayed for because it had some like a demon inside them. So I hear my mom telling me to close my eyes. I'm like, what's happening? So I close my eyes, and I'm here screaming. So I open my eyes, and I see somebody on the floor screaming. I was confused. So my mom just told me to close your eyes, keep your eyes closed. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was confused. I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, I remember that.
I think mine was. I think this is an area where God really prepared me, just like Riley said. Where you can tell the difference. You can tell when God is moving, and you can tell when there's some funny business going on. So, at one, I was at this church, and there was a dama that I had beef with her daughter. So she starts talking in tongues. She starts hablando en lenguas, and nobody translates. Okay, the Bible is very specific. One of the gifts is someone translates when someone is talking in tongues. And nobody could translate. Nobody knew what she was saying. So she starts going around the church, but she keeps avoiding where I'm sitting. And I'm watching her. Like, when things like this happen, I mostly close my eyes. I want to absorb the atmosphere. I don't want to watch. But I'm watching her. By the corner of my eye, I'm like, don't come anywhere near me. Like, when God is moving, you want to be involved. You want God to touch you. You want to be included. But this just, it felt weird. And I was like, I don't want you anywhere near me. Like, my soul and her soul were at it. And she knew because she kept coming around and then she would go around. She wouldn't come where I was sitting. The whole time talking in tongues. Like, nobody knew what she was saying. So she starts pulling all these damas to the front. She starts pulling all these sisters to the front. And she's like, she just puts everybody's hands together and she doesn't say anything. She turns around and starts walking the church again. And even the sisters that were in the front were like, we don't understand. Like, do you want us to pray? Do you want us to stand here and wait? Like, what do you want from us? So she kept coming, and then she stopped. Like there was bancos all in front of me, like 5 of them. She stopped where the musicians were, and she starts talking, yelling in tongues, and says my name. And I was like, no. No. And she's like, she starts going off in tongues and Divana, and I'm like, no. And she's like, starts pointing like where she's standing. And my mom was at front. She was one of the women that was pulled to pray, and she was looking at me like, let's go. And I was like, no, like, I don't want to. Like, when you don't want to, if something like that happens and you don't want to, there's a reason why you don't want to. And oh my gosh, she just kept going, and my name kept coming up, and I was filled with so much anger. Like, I was so mad. My mom was like, your whole face was red. And I was like, I bet it was. I bet it was. And she wouldn't stop. So I moved and I stood. Actually, I stood right next to where her daughter was sitting. And her daughter was like screaming her head off. And she's still talking in all these tongues. And she's praying for me. And she keeps calling my name. And she's like, Ja, Ivana. And I'm like, Jaque? I mean, what do you want? Like, if you're gonna tell me that God's talking to me, talk to me. If he's talking to me, then I would understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you're saying. I understand my name. And she put me in the front with all the damas. I was a joven at this point. I was a teenager. And she put me up there with all the women. And so then everybody just started praying because we were like, we don't know what else to do. And that was it. So it was that moment of like, whatever you was spewing, I'm not falling for it. I knew it. I was like, no, I'm not going to play in your game. Okay. I know when God is moving. I know when God is talking to me. You know when God is talking to you. You can feel it. Your soul recognizes who is talking to you. And she wasn't. Nobody understood what she was doing. Nobody understood what she was saying. And that was just one of the biggest confusions ever in my life, where I was just like, God, I don't get it. I don't understand at all. What do you think was the first thought when God sat down to create you?
I feel like it was like, she's gonna be weird. She's gonna have green eyes. I'm gonna get rid of Nani because I'm tired of her asking.
Oh, it's my fault too. Y'all didn't understand that one. I prayed 3 years for her. I kept getting I had 2 older brothers, I had 2 younger brothers, and she took her sweet time coming to life. Okay, I prayed 3 years. At the end of that 3 years, I was like, God, if this is a boy, I'm done. I'm not asking for a sister anymore. And she came. Now she said my fault because she was like, give it to Devonna, so she stopped asking me.
And then you complain, she's gonna be aggressive.
She's gonna go like this to her nose all the time.
Right.
I'm gonna give her nails at this age. Yeah, I think
What
he,
was?
like,
What do
she's
you
gonna be
think?
special, like,
I'm gonna give her
like, you know, she's gonna be special, but you know, like,
Ooh, yes.
special.
She's gonna give you a birthmark right on your eyebrow.
She gonna have the prettiest hair.
Aww. Eliza, what did you think? Like, God was like, what was his thoughts when he was like, I'm gonna create Eliza?
Make him the most handsome boy in here.
Oh, he's gonna make him the most
He was
handsome boy.
He was like, dang, man.
He was like, let me dip it a little bit to the
But
handsome.
He was like, I made you look like me, homie.
But he gonna put a little bit of Chinese in there.
He's a little Asian. Let's give him a little Asian.
And then find him in the
A lot of
dumpster.
girl
That was
man.
our moment. That was our moment.
Okay, Debbie, what do you think God thought about when he created you?
He was like, damn, that girl.
I don't know.
You don't know?
He was like, let me,
I'm gonna make you look like
let
your
me take her
grandma.
out like her mama. Let me take her out like her mama.
I'm
She,
making
my
like your
mom.
grandmama. So every
Like,
time you see
it's weird because like my mom asked for me. Like she was like, I want her hair to be like this. I want her eyes to be like this. I want everything to be like this. But the one thing she didn't specify was weirdness. Because I'm weird.
Yes, you are. You are. I love it. I love it though.
She didn't even ask for freaking
Yes.
Blanca, like,
Deborah was
Jesus, that girl
asked by our mom specifically how she looks. Okay. My
Yeah.
mom was like, I want hair like this. I want eyes like this. I want skin like this. I want her to look and be like this. She did not ask for her to be calm
yeah,
person.
not at all.
Like her grandma.
She
I'm
did
super
not ask
hyper.
for calmness. That's what she forgot. But exactly how she is exactly how my mom asked for her.
No, me.
Abraham.
It was more like
What do you think went through God's mind when he created you?
athletic, loving, kind, good hair, good eyebrows, good feet, hand model,
hell.
taller than my sister, good eyelashes, good eyes.
You did not just go there.
Why is it so true though? Like, oh, I got great eyebrows.
Oh, and
I got great eyelashes, great hair.
God put a lot of love in his heart.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Too much.
Abraham is so lovable.
He
That I
is.
say that like God was like he tipped that cup. He was like,
That
you're
boy-
gonna love like crazy.
That boy is too caring.
Yes,
Jesus,
yes
like,
he is.
cries over everything.
He's so caring.
Anymore.
Me, I think he was like, she gonna have blue eyes. She gonna have curly hair. I'm gonna make her white as snow. Apparently,
Snow White.
And she gonna be the aggressive one.
I'm not aggressive. That's hard.
No, when we
No,
get
I
to your
am not.
temper, when we get
Okay,
to
God
temper,
gave me patience when it comes to these
quiet one.
siblings. I'm actually the most quiet one.
now. He's the most lovable.
I listen way better.
Aggressive.
I listen to way better than they do. Yes, way better. Way better.
I never get hit by her. I like being hit.
Okay, Madi, what's it like having to bring your faith in a conversation? Is it easy, hard, confusing?
A lot of times it's really easy, but then sometimes it's kind of like, I wouldn't say confusing, but like challenging, cause like you can be talking to somebody and then like probably they're like atheists or something, and then you're just like, how do I even address or like bring it into the conversation? But most of the time it's pretty easy. It's just those times where you gotta watch what you say, cause then you can offend somebody. And then
Eliza? How is it to have to bring in your faith in a conversation?
Difficult.
Difficult?
No comments. Debbie.
Is it easy to like when you're having a conversation with someone, is it easy to say, so yeah, I believe in Jesus, I'm a Christian, I read the Bible, comments like that?
no, because then you don't know if they're gonna if you're gonna get hurt. So, like they're gonna judge you.
Yeah. Abraham.
Like in my opinion, like at my age, it's difficult because of the kids in my grade and my age. They make funny for that stuff, so it's kind of hard for me.
it's kind of like all of them together for me. It's sometimes it's like you don't even realize the conversation went in that direction, and it's easy for you. You know, the other person isn't Christian, but hey, they want to know. And then there's times where the opportunity pops up and the other person shoots you down. So you'd be like, okay, well, you don't want to hear about it. We're not going to force anybody to listen about Jesus. If you didn't want to, okay. There's also the times where you overthink. Was that an opening for me to talk about Jesus? Or were you just making conversation? You know, I think that it's some people are so different from other people that when you have conversations, you need to be careful with what you say. Like they had said before, there's people who are different religion. There's people who don't believe in God. There's people that when you have a conversation about what you believe in, you don't want to offend the other person. You want to have an equal, like, tell me what you believe in. I'm going to tell you what I believe in. You don't want to argue about it. You don't argue for the Bible and you don't argue about Jesus. You'd be like, Jesus don't need you to defend him. Okay, let's put that one out there. Jesus does not need you to defend him. And I learned that the hard way. Okay, I really did. I had a friend who worked with me, and it was close to Easter. I wasn't there that day, so she and this other girl were making fun of Jesus. They were like, "Yeah, he died on the cross," and da 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 da. And this guy that knows both of us was like, "Hey, aren't you friends with her?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're cool." And he was like, "Well, I think you should know she was making fun of Jesus the other day, like, you know, of him dying on the cross and whatever." And I was like, "What?" We didn't work together that day. The next day I was ready. I was mad. I was like, "Why would you do that? That's so disrespectful. Like, if you don't believe in Jesus, okay, you don't have to make fun of what I believe in." So I was coming. I was ready to come into work and tell her off. I was so ready. And the moment I walked in and I saw her, like, I heard Jesus so clearly, like, I don't need you to defend me. I just need you to love them. And like that took, like, I'm telling you, that like was like cold water over me. And I was like, okay. And I did not bring it up. I did not. Right, you're supposed to love them. He doesn't need your help to defend himself. He really doesn't.
He just restarts you.
Definitely, sister, because y'all go like this.
Where do you stand with witchcraft? Are you scared? Do you believe in it? Have you ever been involved in it? Have you ever been warned against it?
I wouldn't say I'm scared of it. What was the other thing you said?
Are you scared? Do you believe in it? Have you ever been involved in it, or have you ever been warned against it?
I'm not scared of it, but I do think that witchcraft is real, and like, but I don't give it like that type of power.
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever been involved with like somebody involved me or me doing it?
No, like you doing it.
No, I've never been involved with that, but I have been warned about it. At one time where we all had to wake up because God had warned her that my mom's mom and her husband do witchcraft or whatever, and they have a tendency to do witchcraft on our family. So God had warned her. They're like, "Oh, wake everybody up because we had to pray because we were getting attacked, like, you know, spiritually." And that day she told me to lead in prayer, and like it felt so like there was so much, not pressure because I had to lead it, but pressure in the atmosphere because of everything that they were throwing, you know. So
yeah. Liza.
No comment.
Say what?
No.
Do you read the next one?
Where do you stand with witchcraft? Are you scared? Or do you believe in it?
I'm not scared, but at some point in my life, I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Like my shorter sister was saying, she like God warned Nani about it. So my brother told us at the end that he heard chains going up to the stairs and stuff at our door. So at that point, I got scared a little bit. So I didn't sleep for like a week. So I ended up sleeping in their room because, you know, their room was like, you know, it was peaceful. So
have you ever been involved in it, or have you ever been warned against it?
I already did the one part, but I've never been in witchcraft. I've never done it. I don't want to.
Right. Where do I stand with witchcraft? I believe witchcraft has certain power. I do believe that people who believe in witchcraft give it such power. It's very limited. Okay, it's not. No, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I believe in it. You know, we're giving it power. I do not. Um, I had a person ask me, you know, like, do you think that that stuff is real? And I told her, I'm like, I don't understand. You know, because people always say, oh, well, I worked for me. And I'd be like, yeah, but I don't understand. Why do you pay? Why do you sacrifice something so that that thing can help you? But Jesus is offering it to you for free, where you don't have to give anything and you don't want it. I don't get it. It's free. It's for you and you don't want it, but you want to pay. You want to give something up for the other thing to help you. I just, that's the one thing I don't get about it. But
I have a question. This is just popped in my head. It's not. This is the question. Does serving God count as witchcraft? No.
no, it doesn't. He is God, like overall. Um,
Di la pregunta que él dijo.
Oh, he said, is serving God like some sort of witchcraft because they kind of follow the same rules? But no, it doesn't. He is not. It's not any kind of witchcraft. God is God over everything. Okay, everything else that says I am a God, I am this, I am that, is copying God. Okay, God is the OG. He's the original. So anything else besides God is a copycat. Have I ever been involved in it? No, I don't. Never been like tempted to do that. I've never want to do that. Right. Have I ever been warned against it? All the time. All the time. Just like Riley said, our grandmother and her husband do that all the time. And since we don't always see eye to eye, she likes to throw those things at us. I get warnings a lot. So does Eliza. Sometimes Riley, where God is telling us, yo, they're building something. They're throwing it at you guys. I need you to get up and pray. And we have to. This is like 2, 3 in the morning, and we can't sleep. We got to get up, and I have to wake up everybody because it includes everybody. Um, we take that very, very seriously. We don't mess around with witchcraft. We really don't. We take it very seriously when God warns us about it. My grandma has no compassion at all when it comes to that. She fights with my mom for whatever reason, and bam, she picks one, and she always seems to throw it at the kids. Um, when we were younger, she tried to curse us that way. She tried to curse me and my 2 older brothers, saying that we weren't ever going to amount to anything. We weren't even going to graduate high school, and God just slapped that right back in her face because we all graduated. We all amounted to something. We all have things that we care about, and we're great adults. We are great adults, and God has always protected us from the beginning, from the get go. But she doesn't stop, and neither does her husband. So we take that very seriously. We do not mess around with witchcraft at all.
He doesn't stop, we can't stop.
Exactly. If he doesn't stop, why should we? The devil doesn't quit. Neither should we. Ever.
If we quit, we're giving him the win.
Exactly.
You know, the only thing that we're bad at is like giving up.
Exactly. There's no reason to give up. This is the same thing like Daniel. When Daniel was praying and he's like, God, I don't understand what you're showing me. And God sent the angels, tell him to keep praying. Because if he stops praying, I stop fighting. God is pretty simple in what he is saying. Okay, we can't just give up. The moment we do, he's like, well, I can't fight anymore because you gave up. It's pretty much how it is. How much should we hang out or talk with non-Christians? Like, what is common ground where we can spend time with them? Like, how long are we talking about it?
I think it kind of not depends, but like it kind of for me for like talking about me. For me, it depends. Like I know when I should stop because God lets me feel it. Like I remember the one time I went to this one party thing after school had ended or whatever, and I spent like an hour and a half with them, and I was like, no, like, I gotta go home
Yeah.
because my spirit and theirs is just like it wasn't the same. So and we just clash about every single thing we would talk about. So I was like, no, that's my cue
Yeah.
to go. So I know like when, like what amount of time I can spend with them, and when I have to.
Yeah.
Switch.
Eliza, how much should we hang out with non-Christians? Like, what is common ground where we can both meet at?
I feel like I go with both. I mean, like you talk about like worldly people.
Yeah, non-Christians.
I go with both. I mean, you can't just turn your back on them. I mean, some people help you while you're out of church. Like some people actually help you, and then some other people won't. Bad for you is you can't when you get in church. You can't just turn your back on them. It's like a part of your process that they were there. Other people be like, oh, but they can push you to do something. Like they can push you back to where you was at. That's a lie. They can I advise you like, hey, you should do this, but it's on to you. Like we all got free will. We all choose what we want to do.
David,
What was the question?
like if you had like non-Christian like little kid friends, like what is common ground where you don't step to their world and they clearly won't step into yours?
Well, it's kind of difficult because like you don't want to. That I don't step into their like, but they step into mine sometimes. But it's not like It's not like the same. It's like they want to be like just like pushing the limit that it's just talking about him badly.
Yeah.
So I don't hang out with them anymore.
Read the question. I'm sorry, I had something on my head.
What is common ground for non-Christians and you as a Christian?
Common ground for me is like when they're like talking about something that you shouldn't do, you should change the conversation real quick. And if you like spend time with them for like a few hours, don't spend with them the whole day.
Yeah.
Or a whole week, because they could change you like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you go along with the flow, and you get caught up, and then when you go back to church or something, and you change yourself like that, you're a hypocrite. You can't do that.
Yeah. I know. I'm listening to this song too. I want to sing. Okay. I think that we cannot ignore non-Christians. We can't just hang around with Christians. Okay. Jesus himself hanged around with sinners and sick. He says that he came for the sick people. The sick people need a doctor.
I love Jesus.
But Jesus never crossed a line where he was the same as them. That's what we have to remember. We can have non-Christian friends. We can hang out with them. We can spend time with them. But do not become them. Okay? You're supposed to bring them to Christ, not them take you away. Okay? You got to be very careful, just like Eliza said. Everybody makes their own choices. Okay? You cannot come and be like, I was pressured to try it. No, you have no and you have yes. The pressure is that you have to say no or yes. There is no he made me, she made me. No, you chose to.
It's your fault. You have to take your own responsibility.
You chose. And then you choosing, it becomes your responsibility, your decision.
Everybody has a responsibility. You should take your own.
Exactly.
Take your friends.
So, is there anything in your life that once you accept Christ, you knew you had to clean up?
There's multiple things like that I had to clean up, like with people, things I do,
Like just in general, is there anything that once you accepted Christ, you know how the Holy Spirit changes us at His time. But when you accept Christ, there's things that everybody who accepts Christ always says, oh, right when I accept Christ, I stopped doing this.
Oh,
I stopped doing that.
Yeah, there were multiple things. I had, as soon as I accepted Christ, like the very first thing I had to do was clean up my playlist. The very first thing.
The playlist.
because that's where like I kind of got into the world at first, and that's what was the first thing I had to get rid of. The second thing I had to like clean up was my language.
Yeah.
Next.
Eliza, anything after you accepted Christ that you knew you had to clean up?
Oh, my language. Oh, my
Language.
I had to change my language and my music.
Debbie?
I really have to clean up nothing.
Nothing. You just let God do. Like anything you need to clean up, you clean up later.
Well, I do have to clean up some stuff, but it's hard to see.
Yeah, but that's where you let the Holy Spirit do that. Yeah. Abraham.
Music.
Music.
Yeah, I remember in 5th grade, every time I used to get mad at people, I just put on my headphones and start listening.
Music is such a strong thing, especially for the youth. Music is so important. Like it helps us express ourselves. It helps us escape whatever it is that we're dealing with at that moment. Exactly. Music is so important.
Part of your life.
That has to get cleaned up.
All the time.
Music needs to get cleaned up. If you are trying to be closer to Christ, if you just accepted Christ, the last thing that you need to do is be listening to the wrong kind of music. Okay, because music influences you. Music moves you. Music makes you choose certain things.
Yes.
So when that sort of thing is strong for you, you need to clean that up. You need to pick music that helps you, not destroys you. I'm gonna say that music was a big part, but it wasn't hard to switch it off. It was a big part, but it wasn't hard to switch off. Language. And I'm not talking about cuss words. I'm not talking where I had to clean up the way I drop F-bombs. No. I'm talking about slang. I'm talking about being raised in a neighborhood, in a community where the language you picked up isn't spoken the right way.
Ghetto.
So exactly, it's mine. At least mine is very ghetto. So when I go to speak, I need to remember proper English, proper Spanish. I don't want to say something that sounds like rude. It sounds creepy. You know what I mean? Like, I want God to be shown when I speak. I want Jesus to be reflected, and Jesus does not get reflected unless you clean out your mouth. Okay, like. My tongue was definitely something needed to get cleaned out. Okay, I needed to stop the whole like, oh, did you see her? What she's wearing, like that had to stop. As that was for me, that was enough. I don't need to make friends by belittling somebody else. My language for sure. Music got cleaned up as well, but it wasn't as hard as it was for them. What is it, Abraham?
Example of her ghetto. It was like, "What's up, bro? What you doing?"
Who's ghetto? Oh, 90s, yeah.
That's the ghetto she's talking about.
I'm not there.
And I still do it.
Yeah.
I just refine it when I go to speak about Jesus.
Yeah, but she talks to us like that.
Because
Right.
Because we need to understand.
And then you hear people in Spanish speaking too, and then they have slang, and you be like, "Bruh, that sounds terrible. Like it's not even like proper Spanish." And it's like in any language you have to clean up. Okay, in any language you have to clean up because people drop the wrong kind of words, and then you pick them up. And you can't just, it's not easy to like switch it off. You say it without thinking. And I think that's one of the big ones for
that
me.
Was my problem in school. Every time like a Spanish kid from Puerto Rico would come, he would say a word, and then I don't know where I'll say it, and then I'll be like, what did I just say?
Exactly.
I'd be like, what am I for?
Okay. That's all we got today.
That's a wrap.
Many blessings to everybody. We're very grateful for this time.
Yeah.
Eliza back there is going to pray for us today.
Ooh,
so that we can despedirnos.
That's a guess.
Eliezer va a orar por nosotros hoy. para poder despedirnos. El hermano Eliezer.
Hiding behind Marty.
Loud.
Thank you, God, for this day. Thank you for letting us preach your word or do this Q&A. Thank you for the people who watched us, and thank you for giving us this moment to preach your word. And hope you bless the viewers and whoever is over there, and hope you spoke to them and guide them in the right way. Thank you for using us as the cup to take your word, or and thank you again for everything you do, for everything you're going to do.
Amen.
Amen.
Dios le bendiga, Dios le guarde, mis hermanos. Espero que se hayan gozado y que haya sido de bendición. Aquí está el hermano, el evangelista Robert Ortiz con nosotros. Esperamos que le den un saludo cordial a ustedes. Ven aquí, mi hermano. Pasa por aquí.
Aleluya.
Gloria al que vive para siempre.
Dios bendiga en esta hora. Damos gracias a Dios, gracias a los hermanos Zayas. Amén. Wow, tremenda familia, tremendos jóvenes, ¿verdad? Dejándose usar por el Señor. Como siempre digo, amén, aleluya. Muy pocos jóvenes hoy en día están en los caminos del Señor, pero le damos la gloria a Dios que todavía quedan jóvenes, tanto niños como damas, ¿verdad? Jóvenes mujeres y jóvenes hombres que se guardan para el Señor, amén, y haciendo la diferencia en estos tiempos. Y yo me gozo, pues yo siempre he dicho que yo nunca fui criado en el evangelio, amén, aleluya. Yo vine y conocí a Cristo después de grande, pero verdad, siempre, verdad, ahora que sé lo que es estar con Dios, verdad, cuánto yo daría por yo crecer en el evangelio. Así que yo me gozo, ¿verdad? Mi saludo, mi respeto allá a la gente de la que nos están viendo a través de la emisora. Amén, aleluya, a la familia Guerrero, a Matt y a su esposa, y mi saludo y mi respeto a cada líder, cada ministro, ¿verdad? Que nos está viendo o que nos va a ver. Así que desde Cleveland reciban un cordial saludo y no se pierdan este sábado. Amén, aleluya, nuestra programación, amén, por aquí por la emisora, amén, sanando corazones heridos, que traemos una palabra de parte de Dios. Así que mi saludo, mi respeto, gracias, ¿verdad? por la oportunidad, y nos gozamos con la familia Zayas.
Amén. Estamos más que agradecidos, le damos las gracias a la emisora, a Val Guzmán y su familia, a su esposa. Le damos las gracias a todo oyente, a todos los que se conectaron. Dale share, dale compartir para que esta palabra pueda llegar a todo aquel necesitado, y que según Dios tuvo misericordia para con nosotros, sé que Dios lo puede hacer con todas esas personas que estén necesitadas, que estén dolidas, que estén en depresión, en cualquier situación. Dios es la solución. Y despídenos con oración.
Amén,
aleluya.
Así vamos a hacer una fuerte oración en esta noche, amén, ¿verdad? Para ser despedido. Padre celestial, te damos gracias, Señor. Gracias por esta noche, Dios mío, Padre. Gracias, ¿verdad? Por este privilegio, por este honor de estar a través de estas cámaras y a través de las ondas radiales, Dios mío, Padre. Sigue, Dios mío, Padre, bendiciendo esta juventud de hoy en día, Dios mío, Padre. Sigue bendiciendo a esta familia, amén, de nuestro hermano Zayas y su esposa Elizabeth y sus niños, y su programación todos los lunes y los miércoles, Dios mío, Padre. Que tu Espíritu Santo, amén, sea, ¿verdad?, con nosotros, Dios mío, Padre. Amén, aleluya, para poder traerle una palabra fresca, Dios mío, Padre, de parte tuya. Bendice a la gente, ¿verdad?, que nos están viendo, a que nos vieron o que nos van a ver, ¿verdad?, después a través de Facebook Live y a través de la emisora. Si hay algún enfermo, seas tú sanando, Padre. Si hay alguien que está flojo de fe, seas tú aumentándole en el nombre de Jesús, ¿verdad? Porque creemos y sabemos, mi Dios, que para ti, como siempre digo, no hay nada imposible. Así que, Padre, en esta hora, mi Dios, Dios mío, Padre, sigue bendiciendo a estos jóvenes y también los jóvenes que nos están viendo a través, ¿verdad?, del mundo entero, aquí en Cleveland, Puerto Rico y en otros países donde este video, amén, y donde esta emisora pueda llegar, Dios mío, Padre, porque creemos que a través de esta onda tú también haces milagros. Así que, Padre, en esta hora, a ti toda la gloria y toda la honra, porque solo tú te la mereces, Jesús. En el nombre de Jesús, amén y amén.